Calafia. I'm Philip John Nymark, the founder of the Ifa Foundations of North and Latin America, and welcome to a video edition of the Ifa blog. Today I would like to discuss with you my own views on how it is way past time for people to stop gaming the Ifa system. For those of you unfamiliar with the slang term of gaming, it's a reference to people that simply use their abilities or their techniques or their knowledge to bend, to twist, to pervert the original intentions of whatever they're doing in order to get their own short-term gratification. It really doesn't matter whether it's the embezzler, the husband cheating on the wife, or vice versa, or the person using a thousands-of-year-old, ancient, beautiful African philosophy for their own short-term interests, with total disregard to the impact that those short-term actions have on other people, the planet we live on, the universe we are part of. I used to spend a great deal of time reading the quotes from Albert Einstein about how his singular formula, E equals mc squared, allowed the development of atomic energy. Not so many years later, Einstein often regretted the inappropriate use of what was meant to be a boon to mankind, a thoughtful integration and use of the system and the reality of physics that existed in our world, suddenly turned to weapons of mass destruction. Another part is, I was always fascinated by Einstein's unfinished quest for what he called a unified theory, a signal theory that would allow all things to fit together seamlessly. Mathematics, physics, biology, everything, all the rules would conform to a basic understanding of how the universe functioned. To me, Ifa is that unified theory. It is a framework for our being able to live, guide, and fulfill our lives in a meaningful way. It can get us out of all kinds of wrong decision-making. But the purpose was not to allow us to evade consequences. The purpose was to allow us to learn and to take that learning and go forward on meaningful endeavors and activities. And yet today, more and more and more, this incredibly beautiful, sophisticated methodology of Ifa has been twisted, bent, turned, defrauded, gamed, not with the intentions of the creative force which brought it into existence, but with the intentions of short-term personal gain, gratification, and power. And the world we live in and the consequences we begin to see are a direct result of that kind of thinking and behavior. It is very much like taking the productive use or potential productive use of atomic energy and turning it into weapons of mass destruction. Our culture attempts to deny the reality. Realities such as growing old, behaving with good character, respect for and understanding of the symbiotic relationship we have with the earth and all the energies in it. When we speak of Orisha, we're talking about energies that are part of this complex makeup created by a benevolent creative force we refer to as Oluwo. But they're not disparate, separated, unattached, non-related forces to ourself. They're part of this whole body of energy that we are a singular part of. So how do you get people to stop gaming the system? How do you get people to start involving themselves with honesty and integrity, with good character, and with the trust that they will reap benefits so far beyond all the short-term gratification that they've been involved in and focused on almost since the day of birth. The commercials, the TV shows, the movies, extolling material goods over individual growth. Things have replaced wisdom. Well, I'm not here to tell you everything that you need to do, but I am here to tell you in this period of time one thing that it is critical, I believe, for you to add into the equation of your own life within the fundamentals and within the matrix of Ifa. And that is the beginning, the first small steps of turning me into us. And by us, I mean the planet and the connections that we symbiotically have with every energy, with every part of our ecosystem, with every part of our natural lives. And Ifa was designed in a way that was a given. That's what you were expected to do. That's what you were expected to see. That's what you were expected to feel, because the wisdom was we were part of this whole. And if we want to continue to be part of the whole, we better begin to respect it. And most recently, for example, I've been exposed to the concept of plastics. There's a wonderful documentary. Please find it, get it, watch it, called Bagit, B-A-G-I-T. It's about how the use of a product that will take hundreds, if not thousands of years to degrade is choking our oceans, potentially poisoning our infants and harming our adults with its, one, chemical compositions and our exposure to them, and two, with its destroying the ecosystem that we need to keep living. We won't destroy the ecosystem. It will destroy us. And then it will, whether it takes 100 years or 10,000 years, restore itself and try again. But Baggett will point out to you that, for example, in more than one place, but in one specific place, the Pacific Ocean, There is a continent of plastic now. Some say as large as the United States itself, on the floor of the ocean, slowly degrading into smaller and smaller pieces, eaten by small fish, eaten by larger fish, eaten by water, and eventually eaten by us. And then we're at risk. But more important, the ecosystem is at risk. And yet, we all think, what can I do about it? If you're concerned at all. Well, Ifa felt that you had to be concerned. Ifa, if your child was sick, would you take them to a doctor? Would you seek a cure? Would you seek to remedy the problem? Well, of course. But we don't see the rest of the planet as our relative. A relative we're attached to, dependent upon, and beholden to in a symbiotic nature. That's what Ifa wanted. That's what Ifa thought would be the logical, natural way people would behave. But our culture, several hundred years ago, came along and destroyed that possibility. So, my plea to you, or my exhortation to you, not just for yourself, but for your children and grandchildren, is to stop gaming the system and start including in those things that you want Ifa to give you, what you have to give Ifa. Start making the decisions that allow a world to continue where your grandchildren will live in some similar way that we lived, and not in enclosed structures eating artificially produced pastes to keep us alive. Don't mean for this to be a downer, I mean it for it to be an upper. I'm 72 years old, and when I watched Bagot, what I felt was a terrible, terrible sadness for my children and my grandchildren. It probably is not going to affect me even if I'm blessed to live another 10 or 15 years. But it will absolutely affect the next generations. We worry about debt because that's the key, money to everything. I suggest we start worrying about the world we live in and the world we're part of. And the next time somebody says to you paper or plastic, make the right decision and see if you can carry it further in your life as well. That will provide you with insight, wisdom, and benefits from the philosophy of Ifa. Until next time, love and blessings.